Amazon ads are not cheap. They're not getting cheaper. So the million-dollar question around ads, are Amazon ads still worth the money spent on them?
If you enjoy selling products on Amazon, then I would say yes. When you're looking at discoverability, if somebody looks for an Elgato microphone, do you want to be the one showing up? I mean, really, when you're looking at sponsored products, that's kind of table stakes at this point to make sure you're showing up in the search results.
Nick, give us the numbers on page 1. What was that you were talking about?
I recall it's about 90% of customers never scroll past the first page of results from a search on Amazon.com.
What? Hold on a second. What? We've had our fair share of trying to negotiate with large suppliers, and sometimes they play hardball. I found their lack of familiarity with the Amazon world and the Amazon way can lead to disaster.
Yeah, you definitely want to have your sales team working with Amazon to have an actual knowledge of how the platform works, what all the intricacies are. If you tell somebody, hey, we lost the buy box, and they don't know what that means, you need to get back to some training, because that's critical. That's like saying all the shelves are empty throughout North America.
Yeah, that would not be a good thing. What's to come here with AI or Amazon or something else that sellers should be looking for? In your point of view, what should sellers be on the lookout for?
You know, as it comes to AI, I think one of the things sellers could be doing right now is
You're listening to
Welcome to What the Tech, your gateway to business strategies and tech secrets shaping today's workplace. You know, Dave, today I am so pumped about what we're going to talk about today. We've got an Amazon insider that worked in the Amazon ads department. But before we get to talking about Nick and all of that, you know, I was checking out this morning on Instagram, something that was posted by Metaphysics AI. You know, those are the folks behind the deep fakes, like the deep fake Tom Cruise.
Right.
And they were talking about how they are trying to get digital rights for folks that want to put their likeness out there, which I was kind of a little bit taken back. I would think, maybe they just want the spigot on high and let everybody and anybody do anything. But I'm surprised by that because they're wanting, people to be able to control what they look like or how they authorize and give people permission to use their likeness.
Sure. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. You know, you have a celebrity, if you have someone's likeness and they're endorsing a product that, perhaps that celebrity wants no part of, I would think that they would want to have some control over that.
I would, and I think that's what's gonna allow this technology to take off. I know that for the writers that went on strike and for the actors that also went on strike, I know that was part of the negotiations or part of what was driving some of this, because nobody wants to be out of work. Boy, the technology that specifically Metaphysics AI, because of how realistic, I would call that almost ultra realistic or hyper realistic. It's really a game changer. And we're only at the beginning. I can't imagine what this is going to look like 6 months, 9 months from now.
And I don't think it should just be reserved for celebrities or high profile people. I think about just the regular folks. I mean, you and I have done enough video here where if I was to move on to another organization or, dear God, I passed away, we could probably be leaving.
I could have a virtual Dave Kelly on in perpetuity.
Yeah. So like, what happens with that? If I don't work for you, if I don't work for the business anymore, can you legally use the likeness of me as an AI?
That's a good question.
For the future?
We maybe get the Latino version of you, David Kelly.
Little extra spice. We'll have to talk to some of the HR folks that we've met along our journey.
Yes.
See what they have to say.
It's going to get very interesting. I don't know what's going to happen, but I know that once the legal rights around your digital likeness get straightened out, I think it's going to make it a lot easier. But just want to say something. Even training the AI models, I saw something where it used to take about an hour or two for you to train a voice AI, and you talk a lot into it. Now it's down to 2 minutes. I was playing around with something the other week, and in 2 minutes, a video, and it doesn't have to be 4K or anything like that, 2 minutes, it can get trained. So imagine where we're going. This is like 6 or 8 months since this stuff was released. Yep. Again, imagine another 6 or 9 months from now, maybe a minute video, maybe 30-second video will suffice. So anyways, interesting. So let's talk about Nick.
Yeah.
Gezzar and Amazon. Let's bring him out. Let me give you a proper introduction to Nick. And we're honored to have Nick today on What the Tech. Let me tell you about Nick. Nick is a versatile business leader with over 10 years, Dave, 10 years of experience leading people and projects in retail, marketing, advertising, and intelligence. I think he may have done some stuff for the government, defense type stuff as well. And he's worked for some big, heavy-hitting brands like Procter & Gamble, Lindt, Apple, and most recently at Amazon as a senior account executive within the ads business. Let's welcome to the show, Nick Gezzar.
Hello.
Hey, Nick.
I'm actually speaking with you and not a digital avatar of you, though, right?
This is the real Nick?
As far as we're,
And this is the real me, I promise.
Okay, cool. This is real Nick. Nick, you are also coming to us live right now from the great country of Germany at this moment.
Indeed. I'm in the southern state of Baden-Württemberg right now.
My goodness, man. Technology just makes this possible. Love it. I love it. We were talking prior to this, and one of the things that you'd mentioned to me, and I'm really just eager to dive into, is about being profits obsessed. You use that phrase, and I can't wait for you to tell me what that means and why should even, to me, it's obvious why I should be concerned about profits, but as it relates to Amazon and sellers that are on Amazon or Amazon businesses, why this is getting more and more important.
Well, margins are getting squeezed from every side over the last couple of years, especially with COVID. We've seen transport costs increase, shortages of key supplies, prices just increasing across the board, both for the product that you're purchasing before you sell it and also the retail prices. And along the way, a lot of folks' margins are getting squeezed. And one of the reasons I say be profit obsessed, it's at Amazon, they have the 16 leadership principles. And the number one amongst them is always customer obsession. It's a mantra that people live at Amazon.
So tell me, so you're pulling the curtain a little bit behind so we could see a small view into what's happening at Amazon. That really is true. I mean, I've heard that, but I haven't heard it from somebody directly that worked there.
So if you're ever in a meeting at Amazon as an Amazon person, like internal, and this is, I'm not going to go anything confidential here, but
you don't have to give it confidence. Just, what we already know.
If you want to stop the conversation, if somebody has a project or proposal, just throw it out to the room. Is it sufficiently customer obsessed? And people are going to massively debate that. It really is something they actually live there, even if it doesn't always feel like that from the outside.
You remind me of something. And in getting ready for this show, this episode, I was looking at the fact that you worked at Procter & Gamble. I worked at Altria. And one of the things I actually interviewed at Procter & Gamble at many years ago when I was right out of college. And it really struck me that one of the folks that I was interviewing was where they were working for Tide. They're in the brand piece of the equation. And they said, if the surveys from customers tell us they want blue crystals in Tide, we're going to give them blue crystals because they are that tuned in to what the customer is looking for and what the customer wants. And if they want purple crystals, and that has zero to do with the efficacy of washing the laundry and making it more powerful. So just fighting stains, it just has to do with what the customer says they want to do or where they're going or their preferences. And that lines up a lot like what you're saying about Amazon and being obsessed about the customer.
And I worked at Procter & Gamble as well, and it's really the same thing there. They're obsessed with what the customer wants in their home. They're a product-based company. You could just list off for an hour all the brands they sell that are probably in all of our homes right now.
Oh, yeah. They're one and two in a lot of categories.
The amount of research they do, though, to find those category insights is completely unparalleled. They spend so much time and effort and just training all their folks up. The insights teams at P&G are absolutely top notch. And anytime you meet somebody who's been with, used to be called CMK when I was there, customer and market knowledge, you've got an actual research expert who knows how to, really distill those insights from the research and go those layers deep that they need to.
Nice. And it sounds like, Amazon is I would just say they're a pack leader. If I were to steal Cesar Millan's phrase, Procter & Gamble is in number one or two in most of their categories. And it was that same way when I was at my time at Ultra in the categories that they were in, they 1 and 2. And it seems like the common denominator here among 3 different companies, 2 CPG companies, and obviously an internet, let's call Amazon an internet company, a services company, is the obsession over customer and more specifically customer data.
Yep. And if you ever lose sight of that, you really just start losing your way. And that's where the business goes south.
Interesting. Ooh, my goodness. Dave, you want to jump in?
Listen, for any small to medium businesses out there that they might be losing their way and they're looking for some help to up their communication game, you know what? They need to turn to Global Teck Worldwide. They are your secret weapon when it comes to unified communications, integrations, and also hardware. Listen, Global Teck, they know the tech battlefield. They're not here to push products on you. They're here to decode your unique needs and find solutions to help maximize your return on investment. The customer service is top notch, and satisfaction, that's their war cry. So, fellow SMB business owners, if you want to improve your communication game, step it up with Global Teck. Check them out at global-tech, that's TECK.com. So I had to fit that in there.
No way. That's what we want. We want to help businesses. You know, one of the reasons that I started Global Teck, Nick, was that the little niche that we're in, I saw that tech can be hard, and it's sometimes hard because the way the information's out there, and you don't know how to put the pieces together. And a lot of times it can just be boiled down to a few simple things that can help along the way. And that's one of the reasons why we started Global Teck, to make sure that businesses that wanted IT devices and now services can do that so things don't fall apart. And it just falls apart a lot of time. And you worked at Amazon and some of these, I'm sure you can attest to sometimes, a system doesn't work play nice with a piece of hardware that's been purchased or vice versa.
Mm-hmm. And I'll say for Global Teck, then you know your products as far as they go. I've never been on a podcast before. I just asked Rolando, hey, what would be a good microphone for this? Because I don't want to use the one built into my computer. He responded like 30 seconds later and said, you got to go with the Elgato. All right, this thing's great.
It's great. It's easy to use. And I'm not just saying that because we had one of the product managers from there, but we in right here, you can't really see it. I've got a lot of Elgato products, and why not just tell you what's easy to, I could have gone this way with it, but you know what? It's your first time out of the gate. We want to make it easy so that, you don't get bogged down with, fine tuning this and that. But you know what? I want to jump
customer obsession.
Exactly. Absolutely. I want to know, and I'm sure that a lot of folks that are listening to this, they want to, how do you land a job at Amazon? And you're in the ads. How did that all come about? How did that happen where you went from one organization and all of a sudden you found yourself at Amazon?
Sure. So I was working at Lint and Sprungli, and actually Amazon reached out to me. I'm a military veteran. They had a program for bringing veterans into Amazon. And I had heard that the interviews are almost impossible to pass, that, it's like a 2% acceptance rate. But I was like, you know what? I'll get in a rep. I'll just try it out. No other interview could be this hard. Let's just give it a whirl. And then I ended up with an offer. And I was like, oh man, I can't not do this. Guess I'm moving to Seattle. And then I worked in retail as what they call a vendor manager for about a year, working with Apple and also Beats by Dre. So I got to manage some massive deals. And it's one of those roles where if you at Amazon, yeah. So I was the Amazon buyer, effectively. A vendor manager would really be considered like a buyer in the brick and mortar world. Okay. Just a slightly different remit because it's an e-commerce company.
Right.
Did that for about a year. And it's Apple. You can only imagine how large the numbers are with this. And if you screw up, you might end up in the Wall Street Journal when things fall apart. So just a little bit of pressure. Yeah. But the thing I'd seen there while I was working in retail was our advertising AE, this wonderful woman named Catherine. I mean, she really liked what she was doing. And I talked to her about how ads works. And I really got to see it firsthand, like what happens when customer invests in ads and the massive gains it can have for them when it's done properly. And I thought, wow, I would actually love to get into this because this is really effective stuff that's going to help businesses grow. And it's really nice being able to walk into a meeting and be like, hey, look at this. We've grown your business X% because we did XYZ.
Right.
Everybody feels good. So it really just kind of suited me a little better, a little more social, bringing good news. When you're negotiating commercial terms, things can get a little testier sometimes.
Oh,
just doesn't
for
really
sure.
suit my personality.
No, for sure. And we've had our fair share of trying to negotiate with large suppliers, and sometimes they play hardball. And when it comes to the Amazon space, specifically on negotiations, I've found in talking to other large brands, multinationals, their lack of familiarity with the Amazon world and the Amazon way can lead to disaster.
Yeah, you definitely want to have your sales team work with Amazon to have an actual knowledge of how the platform works, what all the intricacies are. If you tell somebody, hey, we lost the buy box, and they don't know what that means, you need to get back to some training because that's critical. That's like saying all the shelves are empty throughout North America.
Yeah, that would not be a good thing if Beats by Dre went out of stock at Best Buy, right?
Nope, they would consider that an issue, especially if it was nationwide and simultaneous.
Well, you know what? We're sometimes surprised that some of these multinational brands don't have dedicated resources for Amazon. They'll have resources that Amazon is part of 20 other accounts that they manage. So there's no specialty. They're not even given an opportunity to really be a master of Amazon because they're trying to juggle so many other activities.
Which is absolutely wild because I think Amazon should be treated largely the same as Walmart. Slightly different execution, but most multinationals, they're going to have a dedicated Walmart team. They're probably going to have people sitting there in Bentonville, going to headquarters all the time to sell, to negotiate. And if you're not giving Amazon that same level of attention, you're not going to get those same level of results. Yeah. Everybody who sells a product knows for brick and mortar, Walmart is kind of what you live and die by. You got to be on the shelf to be there. Yeah. And I think Amazon is really that way for e-com.
Do you think Amazon is still the best place where someone can start a new business?
I will tell you, frankly, I have never started my own business of selling products to consumers. But I think Amazon does have much lower barriers to entry than you would find in a typical brick and mortar. Even if you were, you're from New England, if you had a new food product, or actually any kind of product, trying to get it on the shelf at Market Basket, that's gonna be a massive uphill climb. Just trying to sell and have that legitimacy because you're competing with the big dogs there. They've only got so many feet of shelf in every. You have a finite amount of shelf. Amazon, it's an infinity foot shelf. As long as there's demand for your product, you can be out there, and if you manage it right, you can get found. Are there other channels you could work with? Sure. Like if you're making something small and artisan at home, maybe Etsy is a great place to start. But if you're really looking to scale, Amazon, I would say, can be a critical part of that.
I love your analogy about Walmart because I can echo that. Having worked for Altria, we even got into, I don't want to call them, maybe internal battles with our Bentonville team that essentially lived there and was a team of a bunch of people, senior account managers, national account managers, logistics people that lived in Bentonville to serve Walmart as the customer to make sure we had the proper shelf space. The contracts were always going smooth. Any issues were nipped in the bud. So it literally was a team effort. And you're right, Nick. In my case, in our world of electronics, where we've interacted with multiple suppliers that are multinationals, that hasn't been the case. Where who's the Amazon team for you all? 2 guys, three guys and a gal, a lawyer and 2 people. One guy who's head of retail, plus he's got other accounts on his plate. And we have yet met a multinational in our electronic space where they say, yeah, we got a full team. One does the logistics and the other one did it, just like you said, for Bentonville, where there is a big importance on making sure everything is running smooth from top to bottom with Walmart.
Absolutely. And one of the other problems you find too is folks who've been really stuck in the brick and mortar mindset. It's hard for them to view e-commerce as anything more than just a sideshow when there's a ton of potential there when you consider how much shopping and just commerce in general is transacted over Amazon.
No doubt, no doubt. And I think that the trends for the past 15 to 20 years are going in that direction. I mean, I remember when we started on Amazon, most of the suppliers that we worked with were not on Amazon because the prevailing thought was there's really no business customers on Amazon. It's mostly consumers. And right now, as of today, that is certainly not the case. Almost every major company is buying and transacting through Amazon, through their Amazon business side. And in addition to that, a lot of companies have their procurement systems connected to Amazon. So large purchases are occurring on the platform.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Amazon Business has been growing at a clip pace. I don't have the up-to-date data because I didn't work directly in Amazon Business. If I recall, it was something a super majority of Fortune 100 companies do procurement through Amazon Business, and they also definitely offer a lot of volume discounts. Selling 100 units of something, you can give away a little bit of margin more than you would for onesies and twosies with consumers, and that's really what's going to make up the base of your sales.
Yeah,
depending on your category, of course.
The other nice thing about the Amazon business side is that it gives organizations like us that deal with, consumer and commercial electronics, gives us an opportunity to bring more value to those buyers, and they better understand the story when they see, about the seller and like, oh, they've been in business for 20 years. They're not hiding here's where they are. Here are their partnerships. I think we've been able to gain a lot of trust through that side of the platform. And I think about when the pandemic was kind of starting and then in full swing, that Amazon business side, that was very heavy for us for our sales.
Oh. Well, I'm sure we have a bunch of employees setting up home offices and you want standardized equipment that is up to spec. That sounds like an Amazon business problem.
Yeah, no doubt.
I hope you don't mind me talking about Global Teck.
Go ahead. We're here to learn and listen from you.
But what you brought up there too, Dave, with being trustworthy, folks can click on go to the Global Teck store, and your brand store is great. It's organized in a way that is suited to the customer needs, but it also shows this is a legitimate business who's been doing it for a while. You know what you're talking about, and you're willing to put in the effort to actually give a good storefront. Yeah. And that really is important for determining that kind of customer trust.
Yeah, and I think so. It's that's the thing that I know I've talked with our team on the Amazon store side. Our design is that the biggest barrier for a click to go from add to cart to buy is the trust, especially if you're unfamiliar with whether it's the brand or the seller. And if you don't feel comfortable enough, aka trust, to go through it, that's going to be the friction point. So anything that can remove, and there's usually multiple friction points when you're trying to succeed and grow on Amazon, you got to really try to overcome those friction points. At brand story, A+ content, and as well as ads. And that's where I want to go to next with you. As a seller on the platform and talking to other sellers, many of them are realizing, like you said earlier, Amazon ads are not cheap. They're not getting cheaper. So the $1 million question around ads, are Amazon ads still worth the money spent on them?
If you enjoy selling products on Amazon, then I would say yes. Okay. When you're looking at discoverability, do you want if somebody looks for an Elgato microphone, do you want to be the one showing up? That'd be a great place to bid on sponsored products. I mean, really, when you're looking at sponsored products, that's kind of table stakes at this point to make sure you're showing up in the search results. I think it's 90% or so of customers, and this is totally releasable stuff that's been out in the public, never scroll past the first page. So if you're not on the first page,
wait a minute. I think this is a pro tip. This sounds like, or give us a pro tip.
Get ready for a pro tip.
Nick, give us the numbers on page 1. What was that you were talking about?
If I recall, it's about 90% of customers never scroll past the first page of results from a search on Amazon.com.
What? Hold on a second.
What? What?
It's a stunner. It is a stunner. And when you include the fact that page one today and where organic placement is put on that digital footprint is not where it was 5 years ago, where a lot of page one used to be more organic placement of listings and products. Today, page one and even the fold, the top of the fold, it's getting smaller and smaller.
Well, that's the thing. When people are looking for your product or category, assuming your catalog is focused enough, like obviously your catalog fits nicely into one category, sponsored products and sponsored brands get you to that top of fold. So that way the customer can actually find you. If you spent on some sponsored brands, maybe now it takes you to the Global Teck store. If it was for a specific piece of hardware, now it's the detail page for this one specific microphone that Global Teck is selling. But really, those two ads are almost table stakes at this point to be able to really thrive on Amazon. Can you still sell some stuff? Sure, as long as it's relevant, highly rated enough. But you're never going to really go big without the ads, unfortunately.
Oh, I like that. You will never go big without the ads. I know that. Yeah, we leverage the ads platform, and that's how you and I know each other. And it's amazing how it's evolving. Just recently, if we go a little bit nerdy here into the weeds, the auto campaigns are being shown off the Amazon platform. There is no toggle switch to turn that on or off. But the fact that you can get products discovered off of Amazon via the auto campaigns is interesting, which it tells me that Amazon's looking for ways to increase that reach of ads just outside that platform with something as unique as the Amazon sponsored products, like what you were talking about.
I mean, this is one of the things I would tell my customers all the time is that Amazon ads is not just within the search bar of Amazon. When you look at how big Amazon ads is, they have the exclusive advertising rights for Thursday Night Football for, I think, the next 9 years. Last year, I think, was the very first year they did it. They bought 10-year rights. So if you want to see any TV style ad on a Thursday Night Football game, Amazon's the only place to do it. That's really the top of the funnel there. And then between that and sponsored products, there are a number of products that Amazon has to make sure your product is discoverable off of Amazon.com as well.
Yeah. So with that in mind, Nick, and looking at the importance of ads being part of the playbook, you talked about Thursday night. I'm going to go with it. That playbook of being successful on Amazon, and there's a number of different strategies, depending on the category, the cost of the item, the potential profit or squeezing of margins, because ads do cost money. They all require different strategies. We're gonna go into that. But what should Amazon sellers never do? I'm going to let you fill in this phrase. Amazon sellers should never blank. How would you fill that in?
Amazon sellers should never sleep on their category data. Catalog data.
Okay. You want to go into that? What does that mean?
Oh, absolutely. This is one of the least sexy things about selling on Amazon, but every ASIN on there, and there are millions and millions of ASINs out there, have a huge catalog of data you need to enter in. And that's everything from the title, the category it's in, the dimensions of it, your bullet points. But if you have any errors in there, you're not going to be discoverable. Your stuff might not even show up on any results pages. Sometimes you get folks who will fat finger something or they just leave a piece out, but it can lead to all kinds of mishaps where if you're doing fulfilled by Amazon and you accidentally didn't convert from centimeters to inches, well, now they think your package is 2.5 times bigger or 2.5 times smaller than it actually is. And it's not going to go well for you either way. There was one incident that I got to witness secondhand where a product was incorrectly flagged as an adult product.
Oh, my.
Yeah, so those are suppressed from search results. Everything in those kind of categories, you could find them, but you'd have to look for them specifically. And they keep that out because, they want to surprise and delight people, but not surprise them in that way. But if one of your products is incorrectly flagged as adult, it might as well just disappear. Right. So my recommendation for any seller is if you have the ability, I would just do a quarterly audit of all of your catalog data just to make sure everything is still correct in spec and showing it as it should be. because that stuff is absolutely critical. That's really the backbone of how Amazon can categorize all these ASINs and get them to customers.
You're echoing a conversation. So I belong to a Facebook group called the $1 Million Seller Group, and hence the name. There's just folks that belong to it they sell over $1 million a year on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that's come up is exactly what you just said about catalog issues. And probably, again, 5 or 6 years ago, it wasn't a big thing. But given that there's a lot less in the control of the seller, one of the biggest things that can influence that organic placement is the back-end issues of things like, the browse node and the tree node, and they don't match. The browse node doesn't match your listing. And that has a cascading effect. You're not the contributor of record, the winning contributor to a listing. Mm-hmm. And there's nowhere. This is the one thing I would say, I wish it was available on Seller Central to a seller. When the buy box is lost. Understood. But that doesn't tell you that you are the winning contributor on your own listing, right? You have to look for that, or let Amazon know, hey, I've tried to make a change on this in my catalog and it won't go through. Oh yeah, you're not the winning contributor on your listing. So Amazon, if you're paying attention, give us an easier way to get at that information.
It's tragically a completely different team than me, so I never had any.
Yeah, it's not ads. It's not ads, but I thought I'd throw that suggestion there.
See if somebody hears it.
Yeah. Oh, and I know for a fact that there are Amazon people from all different Seattle, and Austin, Detroit. So big, you know what? Let me give big props to a few people. I want to give big props to Julie Fink over at Amazon. Julie, we love the work that you're doing with our account. Absolutely love it. So I just want to give her big props because she's been doing a tremendous amount of work on our account over there, and she's been helpful this whole year on a slew of things that she's been working with us. I just want to give her props. But Nick, you leaked out one of the top 3 secrets. So let's jump right into the top 3 secrets. Ori, hit me with the top 3 secrets.
Well kept secrets, gotta keep them safe and sound well. But secrets are just like diamond.
Right, Nick? Yeah! This is the part I love. Flash the top 3. So one of the three secrets was what you just said. Don't sleep on catalog data, which you talked about so eloquently. So let's jump into that first one, Nick. Be profit obsessed. I love this term. Tell me more, please.
All right. Well, this is starting from the premise that you're a seller on Amazon and you're wishing to make money off this. Profit's the money you get to take home. Nobody cares about that nearly as much as you do. You need to be really looking at your financials, all your costs and your revenue to really see, am I actually maximizing my profit? Example I like to use kind of from my ads time is ROAS. ROAS it's a great metric, return on ad spend. Let's give an example. Let's say you have a $5 return on ad spend for an ad campaign you're running. That sounds great, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. It's like if you had a vending machine where you put $1 in and a $5 bill came back out, you just bring stacks of money and keep doing that. But you need to actually consider what that means for your profit. So let's imagine you're running a sponsored products campaign for let's say this microphone. Let's say it's priced at $100 retail, right? So a customer's going to buy it for $100. But with that $5 ROAS, how much do you think that means you actually spent on getting that conversion?
Indeed.
Just use simple numbers for this. You guys got a guess?
It cost you, let's say, all said and done to get that order. Let's say it was $15. Because you're going to get a bunch of clicks that don't work out, right? They click, but they don't convert. And you get one that costs $15 to convert.
Actually, you would have spent $20 total getting that conversion.
Ooh, close.
You were close. Very close. But what's that? Yeah, $5 ROAS sounds great. I'm 5xing my money. But what if your product cost all in, once you factor in transport, logistics, the actual product cost itself was $80?
Returns.
That would have left, you would have had $20 in, pure profit on that. And now you've spent that on ads. You just broke even. You're just basically giving it at no cost, no additional cost to the American consumer.
So Nick, would you say that the importance of down to the SKU level, because that's what you're talking about, is SKU level data. So every SKU is an island. The concept of loss leaders, because we're not talking P&G or Altria or Pepsi that theoretically put loss leaders out in supermarkets. I don't believe that the case. That was an old terminology, because no profitable company is, especially the big public ones, are in it to lose money, right? So
exactly.
SKU level data that gives you essentially a P&L on every SKU.
Yes, that's exactly what I'd be doing. Make sure you can actually analyze at that ASIN level, or at least an ASIN grouping level. Maybe, this same microphone comes in 5 color assortments and it's all basically the same. Sure, you could aggregate those. But if you're looking at like an overall ROAS for what your business is doing, there could be 1 or 2 that are just insanely profitable for you. It's doing great. And they're being dragged down by some that are actually losing you money. Unless you're willing to actually kind of peel that onion back and really see what is driving what here in terms of gains and losses, you don't really know what's going on with your business. So you won't know how to maximize that profit. Maybe you need to cut off some of those lower performers, or figure out a way to juice the higher performers to get even more profit out of those. But if you're just looking at that overall metric that you're given on the console, it's not really going to tell you a very deep story, even if it does make you feel good.
Look, I don't like losing money, and I'm hoping that sellers and businesses that are Amazon will peel back the onion, because there's third-party software that can help with this, things like Helium 10, and there's several others. There's just the one that's on the top of my head that can give you ASIN level data, and you can make that determination by ASIN and figure out, oh yeah, this is our most profitable one. This is how much margin at the end of the day we're making, as well as the ones that are the dogs. And I think in these times where people are squeezed, like you were saying earlier, Nick, it's the right time to take a look at the catalog and see where you need to cut bait, which SKUs or which ASINs are underperforming, and double down. I like using that. Double down on the ones that are best performing. Again, I go back to my Altria days. There was more promotional activity spent on the Marlboro brand than any from top to bottom. And it's the number 1 brand, and still is today, at Altria. And I'm sure it's probably was the same way at Procter. If you look at the promotional activity around the brands that the resources were put in, I would say they were probably in the top 2 or 3 brands that are were at Procter & Gamble. Am I wrong about that?
Oh, no, you're absolutely right. And Marlboro is also one of those, I came from brand management. So Marlboro is one of those like marketers' campfire stories as well. Before the Marlboro Man, Marlboro was actually a cigarette marketed towards women.
Yes.
They did a huge brand overhaul. And you'd probably know this better than me. I think it was the 50s or the 60s. Massive ad investment. And now it's, the rugged one for men riding horses and lassoing buffalo or something. And it's tough.
They did a great job. I believe Leo Burnett was while I was there, Leo Burnett was the agency running a lot of the campaigns and working with the brand management team on that. But yeah, you would think is like, it's our most profitable. Why don't we invest it in the mid-tier products to grow those? And that's what shocked me my time at Philip Morris at Altria, was that there was more investment in resources dedicated to the top brand than any of the other brands that were still making money for the company. That was a shocker.
Yeah.
But you're saying the same thing that I know to be true.
Yeah, they got to the top of the mountain and they want to stay there. Keep investing in that. That's prime real estate there. It's a lot more expensive to try and make those middle-sized brands and products grow.
And so would you say that you don't want to take your foot off the gas? Because this is the other discussion that happens a lot in the Amazon selling community and business. Is like, yeah, we're already on page 1. Maybe we could cut back on that sponsored product or sponsored brands. Maybe we don't need to. The algorithm will pick it up because we're already 1 or 2 and those keywords. Would you say that's bad advice to, take your foot off the gas, or that's good advice.
I'd say keep your foot on the gas if it's doing well. If your product is selling, it's growing, it's staying profitable, taking your foot off the gas, all you're doing is maybe you'll get a couple extra points of margin, but how many extra sales are you losing? You'd have to do some pretty complex math, and there's a lot of risk with that. Also, you'll start losing relevance even on the organic side of things if people are buying it less, reviewing it less, and clicking on it less. If it's doing well, try to keep it there.
Tell me, you and I had a discussion months ago, and the interests of Amazon aren't always aligned with the interests of the seller, in that I'm concerned about profitability, but Amazon wants impressions and clicks. Where does the at the end of the day, the sale, when does the sale and conversion piece enter into the equation when we're talking to, folks on the ad side? Obviously you want clicks and impressions because that's what makes money. That's what, puts the lights and keeps the bills going, because it's the biggest profit center. I think that's going to be outstripping AWS here shortly. Where does that fit into the conversation, or is that part of the conversation? Yeah, we want sellers to convert. So therefore those that convert the best, we're going to elevate those ads, versus these are the ones that are generating the most clicks.
Well, to be fair, all the algorithms are a bit of a black box. I mean, if I did know, it's not like I'd be at liberty to discuss it anyway. But
we won't tell anybody. We'll keep it quiet.
Yeah. We'll just put it on the internet where nobody will hear it, right? I mean, Amazon's position, though, they'll stick with it, and I've seen in action, is customer obsession. They're worried about, is the customer getting the best thing they can? If they're looking for a specific type of microphone, I want to make sure they're serving them ads for that right type of microphone at the best price and with the best delivery promise, the shortest amount of time to get to the customer, because that's ultimately what you want as the end customer on Amazon. I want this specific item at a good price, and I want it like tomorrow. So sometimes the seller's needs don't necessarily align with that. But as with any negotiation, you don't always know what's going on in the other party's heads and behind closed doors. So you just have to treat it like any other negotiation with any other selling partner, I would say. I don't think there's any real special sauce there, unfortunately.
No. Well, I thought I'd ask anyways.
But
when it comes to special sauce, one of the other areas that you have here as a top secret is that when it comes to ads, companies will, especially the bigger ones that may have bigger budgets, you get to a point when you start growing on Amazon, you thought, we got a lot of stuff going on with ads, and ads today for Amazon is not what it was 10 years ago when we were getting started. It's become more complex. I know it's heading in direction like Google ads. Google ads used to be super simple. Anybody could do them back in early 2000s. Not the case anymore. You need a specialist. So you get to a point where you're growing and you want to scale, and you say to yourself, you know what, Nick, I may need some help here. I'm thinking about going to an agency. What say you? I know this is part of one of your other secrets. What should I do here when I get to the point where I'm scaling and I don't know, maybe I'm a seller and I don't know if I'm doing the best job. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. Yeah. I'm thinking of going to an agency that can take that off my shoulders.
I think the first thing to really do is look at what are your pain points, like what's not working with what you're doing right now, and where do you want it to go? If you don't really know that, you're just kind of showing up to an agency and saying, hey, can you define my problem and solve it for me? And you have a really clear vision of where you want your business to be. And then when you speak with an agency, you really have to make sure that they know what they're talking about in the domain you're talking about. If you're talking about Amazon ads, they should be experts on it, because presumably they are servicing other clients and hopefully getting them good results. If there's ever a point they look at you and they're like, oh, what's a DSP? I should probably look for another agency. The big thing with agencies, though, is just really looking at how they are incentivized. How are they paid? There's an old business aphorism that, you get what you incentivize. Are they being paid just based on your ad spend, irrespective of its performance? That's probably not great for you. Can you negotiate terms with them to where they will get paid or otherwise compensated for achieving your actual business goals?
And Nick, really at what point do you do that, though? So let's say you think, yeah, I'm going to go to an agency. How do you bring that up? Let's help sellers that maybe they have not done this before. That's why they're going to an agency and they're like, oh, we're growing. So I heard this guy on the podcast or this gal, on LinkedIn. How do you have that conversation is it something you say up front? Hey, look, I heard good things about you guys, but here's my concerns or here's my problems or let's address this. How should that conversation go?
I mean, I would do an initial consult with them. And what you'd want to, first of all, tell them is, what is your business? What are you doing? What's your scale? Maybe you're too big for them. Maybe you're too small for them. And those are both valid things. There's the whole ocean of agencies out there. But what I would ask them for is case studies and any specific, what's their secret sauce? What's their magic here? How are they, really serving their current clients and helping them achieve better results? It should be anonymized because they shouldn't be sharing their other clients' data. But you want to really hear, is there something special about what they're doing? Or are they just basically cribbing notes from what's publicly available from Amazon and just doing the bare minimum? Really get that feel for, do they know the products? Do they have demonstrated success they've shown? And ask them, what their fee structure is and how that works. Because that's going to be critical as well for your profit obsession. They are going to be, in some sense, they could be a cost center for you. You want them to be a profit center.
Sure.
That's what you call
real life.
That's right, DJ Khaled. Real life, baby. And I appreciate you sharing that because a lot of folks don't know about this. There's a lot of, I know for us as within Global Teck, we've gone through several agencies. And when you start off, you get the song and dance, right? But asking those questions that you said really are important. How are you incentivized? Is it the clicks? Do you get paid? Because you have you're an aggregator and on the back end, you're getting, you're making the money, or you're making the money on the budget where you actually spend, 95% of the budget and you keep 5. And then there's a few agencies that, that we've talked to where you can pay them a flat fee. That would ultimately be the best because, if you can go that route, there aren't a lot that do it. But you can put markers down and milestones that allow you to set, what does success look like? And I've asked other people this, and I would love to know what you think success could look like, because I know for us, the bottom line is more units and more profitability. And in an ad agency, they may not have that as the goalpost, as the end zone to do a dance on.
Absolutely.
So how do you approach that?
Well, it's just like you said, you have to define what success is. How do you win the game if there are literally no rules? It's Calvin ball at that point. So again, I would just go back to really defining to them what success is. And if you do end up hiring an agency, at least quarterly reviews where they get to show you their work, their results, and this is going to sound bad, ruthlessly grill them about it. You are paying these people to manage a part of your business. They are accountable to you. Sometimes if results aren't as great, you'll find, some flowery language, maybe some things buried in the footnotes. Dig those up. Ask every question. They are there to grow your business. And if they're not doing it, you need to identify why or see if it's time for a new agency. I will say this too, with agencies, I mean, it probably sounds like I'm being really hard on agencies. I have seen some that have had phenomenal results where they have just multiplied the returns on ad spend and, well, I would presume profitability for their clients. I've seen some that have come in and just absolutely destroyed something that was working great. It's not like it's a licensed profession. It's not like it's a doctor or an engineer. Anybody can do it. So you got to really make sure that you are finding the right folks. And you mentioned earlier your Facebook group, the $1 Million Sellers group. Ask peers. Most folks, especially if they're non-competitive with you, they'll be happy to tell you about a great agency they work with. Heck, they probably want to help their buddy make some more money and help you do that too.
Right.
And also you can get the warning of the ones to steer clear from.
Yeah, those have been helpful.
They
right?
don't want to see us win.
Oh, and sometimes they don't want to see us win, right? But I would say that when it comes to sellers, there's groups of like the one you're talking about, MDS, and we do want to win, right? Right, DJ Khaled?
You don't love me no more?
What? You crazy?
Another one.
Yes, that's the one I was looking for. Sometimes I hit the wrong button, but the getting peers that have worked or have used other agencies is good info. Now, Nick, did we miss anything on the top 3 secrets? I know you went into the catalog one. We hit the being profit obsessed with the due diligence. Was there any of those 3 that you wanted to add any color or any additional info on?
I think we covered them all really well, but just to really emphasize point number 1 again about be profit obsessed. Are you familiar with Smile Direct Club?
I've heard of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, like mail order, like orthodontics.
Mhm.
They were basically running unprofitably for a number of years. They did an IPO 4 years ago, like $9 billion. And now they're looking at liquidating the company because they couldn't turn a profit. So they did not remain profit obsessed. There's that future promise of being profitable. It's going to come someday. Granted, most Amazon sellers are not on that scale, but that shows even when you're the big boys, even if you got VC money behind you, it's going to catch up to you someday. You have to be profit obsessed if you want to survive long term.
Let me get your comment on something, because you said VC and you're saying profits. I'm sure you're well aware of what's happening with the Amazon aggregator space. A lot of them jumped in right as COVID was getting going, and the philosophy is that, hey, we've got the smart guys on our team who know how to look at spreadsheets and numbers, and then you realize, oh, wait a minute, running an Amazon business at scale with so many on the books is not as easy as it sounded to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's people really underestimate the complexity of e-commerce because it feels simple when you're doing it at home as a customer, but there's a lot going on in the back end that's completely invisible to you. When Amazon, it's at the time of taping, it's currently another Prime Day, October 11th.
Mm-hmm.
And those deals don't just show up because somebody's like, oh, I'm just going to cut the price 10% on this for Amazon. That's all. No, these things are carefully negotiated. There's a ton that goes into it. That's not just filling out spreadsheets or entering in data too. There's still also a human element of negotiation and strategy to all this.
Yeah, no doubt. The human element is the most important element. I've said that before. It can be the most complex one as well, because a machine, you can figure that out. Here's the book, here's the manual, here's what it's supposed to do. Humans don't operate with a manual.
Yep, we're a little more complex.
One of the other things that you and I had talked about, and in helping Amazon sellers and businesses that want to be successful on Amazon, was taking a look at Amazon. Let's peel the curtain on ads. I'd love to do a quick screen share so if you're one of those folks that's going to follow along with us on the video side, we'll also describe what we're talking about.
Yeah. Once you're on the consumer site, yeah, there you go. JBL with that sponsored brands. Got a great little tagline there. Power your party with epic sounds and light shows. They got the 3 ASINs showing up there, which it's a little fuzzy, but probably the most relevant to Bluetooth speakers. And then we got our boy Soundbox down there again. And when you got a massive budget, you're the manufacturer. It comes down to all the tenets of regular advertising, just like it would with television, radio, anything else. Appear popular and appear everywhere. You need to get as many impressions as you can. I mean, think of like what Coca-Cola does. They are inescapable in your life as a consumer, and that's what everybody's aspiring to do. So JBL is the first thing that shows up there for best Bluetooth speaker. That's great advertising. Probably not going to have the most measurable results over the long term, but as part of a general brand advertising strategy, great for them.
And what would you say? Put your brand hat on for a moment. Your brand management. If you're looking at this, or even a buyer, and you're looking at this ad in terms of Amazon, because there's a difference if you hire Leo Burnett or an agency like that to do ads for you, and ads that work in the Amazon space. It's not the same. Print and other ads do not quite sell the same way on Amazon.
Each medium has its own best practice, digital and old school.
And what would you say about this sponsored brand ads that we see? And let me just describe it for those that are listening in instead of looking at this. We've got a couple that's sitting on a dock with their feet in the water and maybe a lake. And right next to them is the Bluetooth speaker, which looks like, it doesn't look like a small item. So if you are looking for something like this that's outdoors, I mean, they've got it looks like a little raft or a little, what do you call these donut things?
Inner tube.
Yeah, an inner tube on the dock as well. You're thinking, okay, this is going to probably be waterproof. They're talking about party in the ad. Do you think there's something to this that the people that are looking for best Bluetooth speaker are more, and because this is definitely more of an outdoorsy kind of thing, because they're putting that front and center, versus somebody that's wanting to use that at home?
For this product they're trying to promote here, there's obviously a use case surrounding the waterproofness of it. But just looking at this ad to kind of evaluate the way I would have as a brand manager is, does it capture my attention? Yes, there's a very high quality photo there, got some good use of colors. Does it make an emotional connection? Sure. I mean, look at these people. They look thrilled to be there with this JBL product. Okay. Is the branding front and center? It'd be nice if the JBL Harman logo could be a bit bigger, just to just get another exposure in your head.
And
but
you
it's
mean
good.
In the picture itself?
Above it, you can see the JBL brand logo there,
and that may be limited by Amazon. I think
you are limited
space here on the upper left may be an Amazon constraint.
It is. It certainly is. But no, and then it does a good job of showing 3 relevant ASINs that I think are all actually just look like assorted colors of the same one. But again, not familiar with the catalog. Okay. I think it's a pretty good ad. You don't have that much time. You don't have that 30-second spot on TV with a rapt audience really paying attention. Mm-hmm. You've only got a couple seconds to make your impression and grab their attention.
All right. And so you think it does that? No, what I find interesting
personally, if I was there, I'd probably be going for a lower price point one. $400 speaker is that is a hefty price tag.
Even $1,000. They got the third choice here is $999.
As a consumer, I'm always looking for the best deal. I didn't even look at the $1,000 one.
But the search wasn't the best priced Bluetooth speaker.
No, it was just the best one. Yeah, if you're looking for best quality.
I want to see premium high-end products if I use that word best.
Right.
That is a fair point.
Yeah, and what's interesting again, so the number one, here's what's interesting about what you just observed, both Dave and Nick, is that the ad that's the sponsored product in placement number 1, so right below the sponsored brand, that product is almost $800, $799.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so there may be something here. I don't know, because the number 3, if we look at placement, is $71. So it's at the lower end of the price points for something that theoretically is the best Bluetooth speaker.
And viewing it from the outside, this could be a very expensive search term to bid on, probably very competitive, which would push people to put their higher priced and hopefully higher dollar margin, if not percentage, at the top so they can maintain profitability. The $72 one, that is a very bold choice there, unless that thing is just massively margin.
And the name W King, I would put money on that. Just go take a look. I would put money that this is a seller that is not in the US. I would say they are more than likely they want me to sign in. Boo. It's not giving me what I want to see is visit W King store. Just looking at their images, I would put money that this is a company based in China. And the name, let me see if you can't really. It doesn't give us I want to go in the about page, and it doesn't give us that here. But the about will tell us the address, and that tells me all I need to know. And yes, and they've got quite a bit of reviews, but at $72.
Oh, if you go back there was a fascinating piece on that though.
Okay, let me go back. Okay, let's do that. There, it's still there. Yep.
Let's see if it's still there. Scroll. There was a JBL one at the top. See that sponsored display?
So DSP.
Yep. Yeah. The last, actually, that is sponsored display up there, which does not require you to have a DSP instance. The first time you looked at it, I think it was actually a JBL one. And that's actually a great tactic too. If you have a product that you are, maybe it's not a leader in its category yet, but it provides a compelling alternative for customers, you can bid on other people's detail pages for that, which is kind of a way to merchandise your stuff right next to theirs for every virtual customer on that electronic shelf.
Right. It's interesting. I don't know what the information is on the conversion up here at this placement on the product detail page, but is it comparable? Let me ask you this question. Is it comparable to what you would get, let's say, from a sponsored products? I mean, I'm more familiar with that for me, and I know the conversion for some of our products. Are you really playing the conversion numbers like you would? Let's see what happens if I click it this time. Oh, look at that.
Like everything else, it all has to do with the execution. If you are placing it on the right competitive ASINs, it can really pay dividends. If not, it might just cost you money and never get you a conversion. With all of these things, it's not so much about the tool, but about how you wield it.
Okay. I want to do one more with you. Or you want to talk more about this one?
I would say, but if you were going to do sponsored display, my thought would be just to try to do a couple small scale test and learns, figure out which ones do drive results, and then go big on those.
Double down on what works. I like it. Here's one that's right up your alley. Best laundry detergent. Right? This is pure consumer. Right?
If it was anything but Tide.
Number one, right? It's Tide. Unstoppables. They've got Downy. And Tide with Febreze, which I believe you worked on the Febreze side, right?
I did. I was actually the sprays assistant brand manager back then. So that's a really nice assortment they have there. And that's what P&G loves doing, those assortments of products within a category.
Why is that?
Because each of those...
Tell me why.
I'm sorry?
Why is that? Why an assortment?
If you look at like the sponsored brands post, what's great about that, there's Tide up there. They got their brand logo. These are all very like recognizable brands of theirs. Arguably Unstoppables and Downy is not going to be as well known, but each of those three products there has a very specific use case. So depending on what the customer is looking for, if I recall that, I think it's a Downy fabric softener, and I think it might be also the Unstoppables ones is just for like providing more fragrance to your clothing after washing. And then Tide is just the straight up detergent there with the Febreze.
It's interesting that they put the Tide in position 3. They've got the 2 lower priced points on the left, and they've got the Tide in the 3rd slot. I would love to know why they would have done that, where again, maybe they want to have a lineup where maybe they're trying to elevate those other 2 ASINs, given that people may just go from left to right and end up at Tide anyways.
Yeah. I think what we're seeing here is the output of a strategy that we would have to try to reverse engineer and figure out with information we don't have. Just given it's
But that's what you're doing at Amazon, like as a seller. The good ones are doing exactly. How can I reverse engineer what Tide is doing? How can I reverse engineer what Coke and Pepsi are doing? And obviously they're brands, so they're working with different metrics on that scale. But the philosophy behind it, what is it, and why did they come up with this strategy?
Just family of brands, though, because that's it's a chance for them to also get 2 other completely distinct brands from Tide some exposure. I mean, Downy is pretty well known in its own right, and so is Unstoppables. That's just a lot of exposures, and that's what P&G is all about, is really getting people constantly ad saturated, so that you think. I mean, we both knew what was in a company typed in best laundry detergent. They are top of mind for the category. Nobody's going to say, "Oh, look, there's Persil."
Right. Well, let's go to that. So now, for those that are listening in and not watching this, we're going to scroll down to the second row. We'll call it the first row is really sponsored brands, right? That we got Tide in the mix, but then the results that come in. Here's what we were talking about. You talked about at the very beginning. I haven't seen an organic ad. Haven't seen an organic placement yet. The first 4 that are in the sponsored products row, which is row number 2, all of them are sponsored, including Tide. So it's interesting to see the bidding strategy here, especially on Prime Day. I would bet, maybe Persil is trying to get their foot in the door with more consumers, and given that they're right next to Tide, and then this Laundry Club sheet detergent. They're paying. They got to be paying really good money to be on row one, essentially, of the sponsored product side.
Oh yeah, see, you got Tide, and then you got a middleweight one with Persil, and then a challenger brand. So challenger brand is definitely gonna be over investing.
And hopefully it returns good investment for them. I mean, the price point on this Laundry Club sheets is at $17, and this is where, if you're not watching the P&L per SKU or per ASIN, they may end up seeing that today was an unprofitable day, because I know a lot of brands are gearing up for yesterday and today.
Oh yeah, and bids are only going to have to go higher on tentpole event days.
Yeah, I know that. I believe.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get a little scared on the Prime days, because it's like the gas is being poured in every hour, right? And the budget goes by real quick, so you really have to know what you're doing. But I want you to look at this. This is the first organic row. So, like, look at this: brand, sponsored brand, then sponsored product. Finally, you get a row of organic. And so, and what's here is an interesting mix. I'm curious as to what your thoughts are, because I see Arm & Hammer, I see Tyler Gallon Glam Wash, and I see Persil on organic row number one. And to me, it's a huge opportunity for Tide to find out why they're not on the first organic row at all.
Yeah, that is actually fascinating.
Right.
Oh, and there we go. Another sponsored brands video down there.
So row number 3 on page 1 is the Persil Pro Clean Laundry. It's a sponsored video. And to me, it looks rather nice. It's interesting. They're catching your attention. They have some motion. They tell you what it does. 110 loads, less detergent, more loads. There you go.
All right, and then the row below that should still be organic.
That's still organic. There we go.
Amazon tags on the top there.
Yeah, so you've got a bestseller tag
in there
on the Earth Breeze.
But those two are sponsored, actually.
Yeah.
Tide and Earth Breeze.
So Tide, let's see what position that would be. It'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're in position number 6 organically with the Simply All-in-One. It's a liquid detergent. That's, to me, surprising given the size, scope of Tide. And I think for them would be an opportunity to find out why they're in 6th and not 1.
Absolutely. Maybe it's a matter of having too many ASINs and varieties in there. That's making it hard for any one particular one to rise to the top. But they've got plenty of good reviews on there. You can see the Persil to the left, though, has a higher number and better star rating.
Right. So Persil is rated 4.8 out of 5. Oh, you're right. Look at that. Tide is rated 4.7. So again, the customer obsession thing with Amazon, the review, although it is greater for Persil, even though, look at what's interesting here. It's at a higher price point. And I see it's a higher price point at half the size of the Tide, and it's got more reviews. So to me, it's just kind of dissecting things a little bit. The Persil not only outsells, but is outselling, even though that the Persil, I love this breakdown, 25 cents per load versus the 12 cent per load. So although Tide is cheaper, the more expensive product is winning in this particular search term.
But wait, Rolando, when I'm looking at this, so it's this new thing that Amazon rolled out last month. They're showing the sales trends. So the Persil is not overselling the Tide next to it.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. I didn't even see that. It says 33,000 plus bought in the past month and 20,000. Oh, I missed that, Dave. Very good observation.
Very good eyes on that. The algorithm for organic search, though, constantly being updated, taking in new inputs, being tweaked. So fortunately another black box. That's kind of hard to say, but right now I would just be looking at that raw review count and the higher star rating as being something that would drive that. Even though it was 3,000 customers who bought it in the last month, it's a good chance maybe they were more satisfied with it. So Amazon's assuming that would be the more customer pleasing one. Also, to back up and talk more about catalog data, 25 cents a load, 12 cents a load, that's a great thing for customers to see. It's very intuitive, all derived from catalog data. If you screw that up, you can get some really wacky stuff in there. Like I think I recall once seeing paper towels saying X cents per ounce. Which is weird because I don't measure my paper towels in fluid ounces. So there's a lot of ways you can screw that up. That obviously these two companies have their catalog data perfect.
Wow. Now,
or close to.
I want to do one more here. Let's go in the liquid detergent because I'm looking at the titles. Liquid laundry detergent, liquid detergent, right? Laundry. I want to see if we do liquid, if that would change the equation, if Persil's still winning. Liquid laundry. Oh, look at that. I didn't even finish. This is another thing. Look at that. It's I think this is part of the new AI stuff that's being pushed through the search. These different categories: brightening and whitening, color and protection, dye free, which could be. But I'm just going to stick with just for the sake of this, liquid laundry detergent. All right, and I want to go again. Look at this. There isn't as much. There's the all at the top with sponsored brands, which okay. I'm surprised I didn't see Tide there. You've got the second row being sponsored, and then we get a different lineup. We got Arm & Hammer, Swash, Persil still in the mix. Arm & Hammer shows up twice. Then we go to the first organic row. It seems like on this one, P&G is doing a little bit better with Tide. They're in the number 3 position behind Arm & Hammer that's in 1 and 2.
Trying to look like looks like there's more price competitive on the Arm & Hammers, and also
11 cents a load. And then the other option, position 1, is at 8 cents a load versus Tide's 12 cents a load. Something. Look down here. Look down here for a moment. You see this? This is something that somebody turned me on to the other day. The delivery window has it being delivered sooner than Tide. And one of the things that I've been learning is that the delivery window to the customer is massively important and can affect these results as well. So like you said, if I can get it tomorrow, and this is delivery Monday, October 16th, which, I'm not logged in as a Prime member right now. Just letting the algorithm serve it up as a unanimous person. The fact that it can be delivered on Monday, which is sooner than Tuesday, is interesting. And I would wonder if that's also playing into, because the pricing is very close, right? From $13.52 to almost $14.
It is certainly a factor in there, because you can also see with some smaller sellers, like when they have delivery windows that are 2 weeks out, that's not what Amazon wants to push.
That's right. Well, talking about a smaller seller. So you go to the second organic row, you go all the way. Well, those are sponsored again. So let's just see where a smaller seller. These are all bigger sellers, and it's sponsored, Tide, more Tide, Gain. You see the smaller sellers pop up in the sponsored area. Yeah, I'm not seeing it for this category. The big boys are the ones. The ones winning the day on page 1.
Church and Dwight and Henkel.
Yeah. Wow. Right. Fascinating.
Also, I also realized, I don't think I said this early in the podcast. I am not currently employed by Amazon, and nothing I say represents the position of Amazon. Okay. Just to be clear, all just one dude's opinion and experience, just in case Amazon lawyers are listening and watching.
It's from your, yes. We'll make that very clear. Anything else you want to interject and say here, or we beat this down?
I think we've run this one into the ground pretty well. And well, considering that I am now starting my own consulting firm, I don't need to give away all the magic.
Well, Nick, you've done brand management. You've worked at Amazon. Very few people know what that's like. You've your expertise is very valuable for companies, whether they're small businesses all the way up to large. And knowing how to navigate the Amazon landscape is no easy task. And understanding, like what you said, customer obsession language is important. Understanding where to put your money so that you're profitable. I think that's a huge, huge importance. And I'm hearing more and more that that's where the focus should be, especially if you're not Procter and Gamble and you don't have maybe $100 million to run on a campaign on Prime Day or something like that, right? And so profits is something that in navigating that and where to put your chips is something important that you can help businesses with.
Absolutely. No, what I'm looking to do is just to work with Amazon sellers or vendors as well, just to help them navigate the landscape, give some strategies on how to maximize their profit and also their top line. I was scrolling through LinkedIn earlier today and I saw somebody else offering similar services. It's Prime Day. Look at everything we've done. But everything was focused on top line. Nothing in there mentioned whether they're actually making any more profit off these successes through these huge deals. So that's another thing I can also offer my services on is really thinking through the strategy of the deal, how to structure it well, how to make it work both for Amazon, but more importantly for you as the seller or the vendor to make sure that it's actually fitting to your overall business plan, that you're not just going to bleed money on Prime Day just to get a little more market share.
Absolutely. We learned that lesson, man. I wish you would have told me that a couple years ago because we found all the budgets got maxed and the incremental revenue was not there on Prime Day for us, even though all the budgets on all the campaigns got maxed out and some beyond the budgets.
It's seductive to see that top line just showing that massive growth. But then when you come home and realize that you didn't bring back any profit, sucks, man. I'm sorry to hear that happen to you. It hurts.
It hurts. So let's wrap it up, Nick, with this thing we call rapid fire. This is a fun, no wrong answer kind of thing. And Dave's going to help me here as well. The topic here is brands and whatever is in your brain. These are your thoughts, your ideas, whatever comes. Just spit it out. So we're going to start with an easy one. We started talking about big brands where I worked. Marlboro versus Camel.
Camel wides. That was my thing.
Oh,
Marlboro
okay.
never had a comparable
Camel
one.
wides. You weren't a Marlboro man. All right, cool. Camel. Joe Camel got you hooked.
Hey, man, you seen that Camel cash as a kid? I was just seeing dollars.
Can I say when I was in
advertising had no rules.
When I was in high school, it was like the standardized. It wasn't a test. It was like a standardized survey. So I'm a freshman in high school. And one of the questions within the survey, it had to do with Camel's marketing. And they said, do you think, and now they're asking a bunch of 13 and 14-year-olds, would you consider Joe Camel a friend? And I remember, and I was a freshman, I smoked Camels, a lot of us did. And we collected the Camel dollars and everything was animated and you got the free Camel t-shirt if you bought 2 packs of butts and you'd wear your Camel t-shirt. And I think they were trying to find out from the youth, are you succumbing to this marketing? It's like they are trying to wrap you up and they were trying to figure it out. Are these kids, I don't want to say so dumb to think that cigarettes are fun for kids, but I never forget that. And I generally do feel that they were marketing directly to kids with cartoons. Joe Camel
in a leather jacket, smoking a cigarette on his motorcycle. Yeah, probably not for adults.
You want to rewind the clock, and what's interesting. I love hearing the perspective on this. Obviously, we're not glorifying tobacco. It's still a legal product, right? But we're talking about our preferences. When I worked at Altria, it was always a battle with the Camel guys, the RJ Reynolds. They've changed their name now, but RJ Reynolds. And them trying to outdo us, outgun us in the market, and that just wasn't happening. And the marble points. I have a really interesting story. Did you know, Nick? I know you're going to find this interesting, having worked on brand management. At one point, Altria, Philip Morris, which was what it was called at that time, they had a really big, grandiose idea. They were going to build a Marlboro train, and that actually started. They did that. I mean, this is how, like, big money got thrown around in the
Like a
company.
toy train?
No, a real life locomotive. And they started doing that so that they could, they have the Marlboro experiences, would take you to the ranch and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
But beyond that, beyond the ranches and all that, they were putting together a Marlboro train. And that actually started happening. The money was put, the budget was there. They started it. And then once they got parts of the train ready to go, and they started adding the things that would, you've been at probably those meetings, you sit around the table and what would customers like? Oh, they would love a spa experience for those that want to relax and kick back. This is where one of the problems came in. How do you get water to stay level when you're going up a mountain? It wasn't thought through, right. And it was one of the big, oops. I don't know if somebody lost their job over that because they ended up having to scrap the whole idea because that was one of the problems. That
was this person exhibit before he did Pimp My Ride?
And now you can run those things in, and you can put it into a simulation, right? We got to go through Colorado and Wyoming and Utah and Idaho and take people through, Marlboro country. What are we to do when we're going up more vertically? Well, maybe the spa is not a good thing to do.
So the Marlboro train was going to pull hot tubs and spas full of water?
Yes. It was going to be a part of the you don't want to go think about, they think in ultra luxury, right? So what would be ultra luxurious, when you're talking about these type of things? And so one of the things is it could better be a spa, kick back. And as you're going through the countryside, you can, kick back and relax and be outside. Well, that's good if you're on a cruise ship, right? Because it's not really moving a lot, like vertical pitching. But a train, when you go, especially if you're going through the western part of the U.S., you got problems. So they ended up scrapping that. The bottom line, they spent a lot, millions. I can't remember the exact number, millions to get that going, and then they had to write it off. And then I think the locomotive at some point was sitting somewhere, an exhibit in somebody's business or something like that.
That's unfortunate. That would have been fantastic to see come to fruition.
Anyhow, so last couple here. Tide versus Arm & Hammer. We were looking at that.
Oh, I'm an Arm & Hammer guy. Actually, what really got me to them, they actually make a great toothpaste. I had actually brought their toothpaste in an innovation meeting once when I was at P&G. We were talking about cross-category stuff, and I actually ended up converting a couple of my peers there too.
Oh my god! That's
it's
heresy.
Really good toothpaste.
Well, they put the baking soda and the peroxide in a toothpaste, right?
Yeah, exactly. It has that neutralizes the acids and all that. Like baking soda is great for everything. Why not put it in my mouth?
Yeah, why not? They got you. They got you. They got you on the ads about baking soda. Here's another one.
We like this one.
Okay.
So you can
TikTok
take it.
Shop. I'm going to do the last one, then you can hit them with the other two, Dave. TikTok Shop versus Amazon.
Amazon.
Okay.
I just want to be able to type stuff into a search bar and not watch a bunch of videos.
Okay. Cool. Dave, I'm pitching it to you.
All right. Gillette versus Dollar Shave Club.
Neither. I use disposable double-edged razor blades. They cost 25 cents for the absolute best in class cartridge razors. Even Dollar Shave Club is 10x more expensive, and you get more shaves and closer. It's a whole
there you go.
Whole weird niche thing. People call it wet shaving. You got to use the brush with the foam and all that. But I haven't bought razor blades in 3 years. I just bought a pack of 200 and they've lasted me probably for another 3 years from here.
They are so darn expensive. I remember being a kid living with my dad. I'd be like, I need more razors. He's like, you have peach fuzz on your face. I'm not buying you the Gillettes anymore. Buy your own, or use the same one that you've been using for a couple of months.
You can use that one cartridge head through high school. You're fine.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
All right. We were kind of laughing at this other one here. Birkenstock versus anybody.
Ooh, the shoes?
Yeah, Birkenstock the shoes.
Yeah. Birkenstocks are really great, high quality and all that, but probably have to go with Crocs.
Oh,
They're waterproof.
It's true. Are you on the record for saying that you own a pair of Crocs?
I don't, but my kids do. I'm from Florida, so I can only do like those floppy flip flop, the thong style ones, no back. It's part of my cultural heritage.
Well,
this is.
Well,
This is what I have on my foot right now. These reef sandals. They have a bottle opener in the bottom. So
he's not messing around. You're all the way in Germany with one of those. Amazing.
All right.
Bad boy.
That's what you are.
Bad boy. Bad boy.
Biggie, actually Diddy,
Thanks,
I should say, thinks you're a bad boy for using those flip flops like that. Oh, Nick, as we're wrapping up here, do you have any predictions on what's to come here with AI or Amazon or something else that sellers should be looking for? That's in your point of view, nothing proprietary, but in your point of view, with what's happening. What should sellers be on the lookout for?
As it comes to AI, I think one of the things sellers could be doing right now is, there's some things out there that are publicly available, like OpenAI's ChatGPT, on GPT-3 right now. You can actually get it to write you some pretty decent copy. I wouldn't ask it to write me things and just throw it on the internet without editing it, but to give you like a rough draft of what you want up there, you can really open up, ChatGPT's prompts right now and say, hey, write me 5 Amazon product detail page bullet points for this product, which has these features. It can actually turn out some pretty passable results. You'd still want like a good creative mind to be looking at it to, first of all, check for any factual inaccuracies and maybe jazz up the language a little bit, but it gives you a really great place to start. And I think for small business owners, finding ways of this AI tools enhance your productivity without increasing your costs, it's going to become, unfortunately, grimly necessary, which tragically is not great for copywriters and designers. In fact, it's kind of heartbreaking, but that's just kind of the reality of how it is in the system we live in. I would just start really getting familiar with how to start doing AI prompts.
I agree. I think that AI is only going to get easier with time. You've been using ChatGPT for a while and now playing around with Claude. Claude is interesting. It spits back out stuff much faster and it has more of a conversational style of a back and forth, whereas ChatGPT is very prompt heavy and then get a response. So Nick, I appreciate you coming on the podcast today. How can folks get in touch with you if they want more of Nick Gezzar or to chat with you further?
All right. Well, the best way would be to write me at my email, which is nick@gezzar.com. I don't know if there's any post editing we can do to have that flash across the screen.
Yeah, we can.
It's nice him having having an uncommon last name.
There you go.
Hey, thanks, Ori. Nice him having a unique last name. Nobody had the domain yet. And that is the address for my new company, Gezzar Consulting LLC. You can also reach me through LinkedIn. After this taping, I'll be putting a Calendly invite link on there, so you can just look at my schedule, book some time, and talk. And I'd love to start finding some new clients and help them achieve success on Amazon.
All right, indeed, I'm sure that anybody that taps your knowledge will be very impressed with your consultation and your knowledge with regards to Amazon. So thanks for joining us today, Nick. We really appreciate that. I've been looking forward to our conversation today and all the wonderful things that you shared. And if you like what you've heard today, nerding out on Amazon ads, and Amazon's the thing that's driving your business, or maybe you want to learn a little bit more and nerd out even more, you'll want to check out our conversations with other Amazon experts like Kevin King, Stephen Pope, as well as Chad Rubin of Prophecy, where you're gonna get some really interesting nuggets on what it takes to excel on the Amazon platform. You can check that out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere where you consume your podcasts. And so thanks for checking us out today and for tuning in. Now, for those that have been listening or watching on YouTube, I'm going to have some videos up here on the screen that you can check out where Dave and I have more details on how to grow as an Amazon seller. We will see you in those videos.